Right, we are back. It's been absolutely ages, but I'm delighted to be joined by Rob Harvey. So, Rob, thanks for coming on.
No worries at all.
We're going to chat sort of the first sort of 5 league games and just how the season's been so far, and then sort of look forward to the next couple this week with Bradford, which will be tomorrow, because I'm hoping to get this out on Monday, and then obviously Barrow at the weekend. So, Rob, initial thoughts on the season so far?
Good overall, good start. Unbeaten, which can never be kind of sniffed at. Looking at the league table is a little bit weird because you automatically see how many games we've drawn out of the. I think we've played 6 now. So I think we've won. Is it 6? I think 6. We won 2, drew 4. Is that right? Or is it 5?
10 points.
5 or 6? 6. I'm going 6. But yeah, we're unbeaten, so you can't complain. I'd like to convert a couple more draws into wins, but if we can get 4 points minimum out of the next 2 games, then I think we're onto a bit of a winner, and I think it'll show that we are contenders, really. Saturday, the game on Saturday was the only game this season where I've thought if we concede first, we're not going to come back into it. Whether that's just because Exeter were the best team that we've played so far and we're cancelling us out as much as we were cancelling them out, I don't know. But I think overall we've been good, and it's been exciting to watch for the most part. Saturday it was a little bit, but I suppose it was exciting for those that are more tactically involved. But a point to point, so
yeah, I think I look at the teams so far and I go, yeah, I think if we went 1-0 down on Saturday, Exeter would have been very difficult to score against, even if we were kind of flooding more players forward. Whereas I thought both teams played really well. Like you said, it was quite a tactical game, but it's the contrast to Forest Green where we were just completely off the pace. We just had a bad game where they kind of took control. But yeah, I think when Clark was hired, there was one thing that I saw from a few Bristol Rovers fans that were don't expect many draws, because he will go out to win, which will either mean you will win or you'll lose. Like he will commit to trying to get the 3 points. And last season we barely drew any games, but I think last season one of the things that we'd said was, if we could have drawn a few more games instead of losing, it's quite nice to be in a position of going, if we could win a couple more than draw. Sort of, it's that next step up. The ones that we've drawn, I think they've been. I think Exeter was a fair result draw wise. Forest Green, I was very glad that we came away with that with a point, because I thought we could have really struggled there. Harrogate, we came back from being behind, which again, it's never a bad point. And I think for me, Colchester's the one that I thought we had a real opportunity to win that game.
I think our biggest downfall this season so far was, it sounds a bit weird to say considering we're unbeaten, but it's the defensive errors.
Yeah.
Not necessarily just the defence, but defensive errors. So Kinsella giving a goal away the other night.
Yeah.
Liam Roberts has looked a little bit iffy with some of the stuff that he's been doing, like when he come out of the box on Saturday and gifted Exeter a chance, which looked like they didn't convert. I think it's the errors. I think at the minute we're good for at least 1 or 2 errors a game, and it just depends on whether the other team are alert enough to capitalise on them, which 50% so far have been put away. But I think if we can cut them out, then look pretty solid. And I think the way he's gone at it this season is that if we can stop the teams from scoring, sounds a little bit boring and a bit cliche. If we can stop the other teams from scoring, then you've got a good base to go on and do something yourself then.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that the only time we haven't scored is against Exeter. I know we are missing some good chances, and probably could have scored more so far. But it's sort of this time last season, in terms of how many games we'd played, we weren't really creating chances and we were barely scoring. Whereas now, like you said, we do look good for scoring 1 or 2 goals a game. It's just we expect to make one big defensive blunder a game.
To be honest, I was going to say it's been the last couple of games I've noticed it's been very early on where we've made the first mistake. I'm pretty sure everything's jumbling into one these days, but I'm pretty sure it was Saturday where the ball was with Scar, I think, possibly, and he got caught within the first minute or two.
No, that was
Saturday?
Colchester, and then the guy chipped Roberts, and it hit us.
So it's all moulding into one, but yeah, that one stood out.
And I was like, right, which game?
There's something that happens every game, but it's one of them. Like, if we can cut them out, I think we'll have a really good season. And if we don't cut them out and we keep doing it, then it's just going to have to be a case of, well, we're going to score one more than you, and that can get a bit messy sometimes. I mean, going on about Forest Green, I looked at the stats afterwards. I think they had 27 shots to our 2.
Yeah,
it's like a football manager scoreline, that is.
And the second shot, I thought they were very generous because it was Adebayo who had a shot that was blocked from a player about half a yard in front of him. It was literally the only shot that was an actual shot at goal was the header from Lavery. The other one was literally blocked from like this close, and you think, all right, thanks for giving us the fact that we had 2 shots, but
they all count. But yeah, that's a game. That's a game we'd have got battered in last season, I think. And to come away with a draw. Darryl Clark said it in the interview, but we kind of got away with a bit of daylight robbery there. And I think over the course of a season, you're going to have games like that. And if you can get something out of them, then who knows?
Yeah, I mean, in seasons gone by, that could have been a 4-0, 4-1 final score. And to be quite honest, the fact that, I mean, everyone said it was an absolute steal. And in the nicest way, you should never put your goalkeeper down as man of the match. It shouldn't have to be man of the match from the amount of saves, but Roberts won that by a country mile. But I think overall, I think that's the only time we've looked like we've been completely dominated for a really long spell. Obviously, during matches, there's going to be 5-10 minute spells where you're on top. There's going to be times when they come at you and keep the ball more, and that's natural. It's football, especially in League Two. It twos and fro's, but that was an absolute constant sort of barrage. But I think apart from that, we've never really looked like a team that's been getting absolutely battered by another team. We've been going about our business quite well. We've been keeping the ball better. I think we are playing better football.
Yeah, definitely.
So who has sort of been your sort of standout performers so far?
I'd probably say Adebayo, obviously. It was a question before we kicked off again. Can he reproduce what he was doing towards the end of last season, or take him a while to get going again? And I think he's answered that one. And he looks 10 times the player he was last season. And he looks like a player now, whereas kind of at the start of last season, it kind of became a little bit of a joke, like when he was being brought on and stuff, and it was kind of, oh, well, he's never going to score, and this, that, and the other. But credit to him, he's found a way of motivating himself and getting himself put about. So yeah, Adebayo, Holden, obviously. I was quite surprised to see that we managed to snag him on a permanent.
Yeah, great business. And I mean, I assume it was very like a nominal fee, which, well done to all involved with that, because we all wanted him back. And to actually get him on a permanent deal was was really good to see.
Yeah, I think he's been quite consistent. You can see when he's got the ball at his feet and when he's playing well, he's probably a level above at least, to be
Yeah,
honest. And I don't know how true it is in terms of the deal that was kind of struck, but I've been hearing there's maybe a buyback clause for Bristol City, which I suppose if they haven't had much money up front for him, makes sense if he takes off. But
yeah,
while we've got him, we need to make use of him, and he's been pretty good. And the other one for me, I'd say, is probably Danny Guthrie.
yeah,
I know he's one of them that I think some people maybe love to hate, just because he's probably not as mobile as what he could be or what he was. But when he's got the ball at his feet and when he's in midfield, we're far more creative. And again, he's probably a step up in terms of quality. It's a little bit. I'm not saying he's in any way as good as, but it's kind of like when we had Paul Merson. Everything that he did and wanted to do, he was in his head. He was a step ahead of the other players, and sometimes you can see that with Guthrie. But I think those three are standing out, to be honest.
yeah. With Guthrie, I I think now that everyone's had sort of the year, like I say, a year to sort of bond, gel. Everyone knows how each other works a lot better. I feel that he looks a better player this season
Yeah,
because there is that system in place. There is a kind of set 4-2-3-1 or 4-4-2 that
yeah,
people know and understand those roles. And when you've got someone like Guthrie who knows, right, I've got three attacking midfielders behind me. I know where they're going to be going. I know exactly what they want. That helps him, and I think he's looked better because we look better going
yeah,
forward. And I think you can see his quality. The fact that he's now got sort of like you said, Holden, who's in front of him, that when he's got the ball at feet looks quality. And I think when you've got a couple of players like that are playing well, it means Guthrie can use his full set kind of skills.
yeah. No, I think it's evident when he's not there that we lack creativity. I mean, Saturday, I think we set out to negate any threat from them, to be honest. So it was kind
Yeah,
of, we might not score, but you're not going to score kind of thing. But
yeah,
I think even if you put Alfie Bates in for one of, if Guthrie's not playing, you can't really play Sinclair and Kinsella if you want to go and attack a game and win. But
yeah,
even if you put Alfie Bates in there, I think you'd still notice the difference between having Guthrie there. I think he's, in terms of creativity and I think just his overall experience, just because of where he's been, where he's played and stuff,
yeah.
you can't get that from anybody else in our squad.
No, no. But yeah, I think he's looked a really sort of one thing that impressed me as well was when he started. Oh, I can't remember which game it was in the league. His first one. It's all blurred. I think Colchester, but
Possibly.
he something that impressed me was we were attacking and he got the ball and he was quite advanced, and then however the ball was lost, Colchester countered and they were pretty quick on the counter.
Mm.
And they sort of got down their right hand wing. Nurse was beaten, and then Guthrie was there making quite a big tackle in the box, and I was like, wow, you kind of he's been quite box to box as well. I think
Yeah.
he's fitter than he was last season, and I think him and Clark know how to use him better this season. And he effectively, I think he knows, right, I will be subbed off around the hour mark, around the 70-minute mark. So I can basically run myself into the ground for those hour, and there is a planned sub in place. But I feel that he's been a bit more physical this season as well, which is something that we lacked with him last season.
Yeah, no, definitely. You can see that from, there's some silly tackles he's making, but obviously you can see it from the tackles he's putting in, and obviously
Yeah.
he got sent off playing at Harrogate, and there's been another one or two occasions where he's dived in after balls that he's never going to get anywhere near. But yeah, I mean, I think the key for us having a good season Obviously, we need to keep like your main players fit. So Adebayo, Gordon's obviously out, but when he's back, Gordon, Holding. But I think Guthrie's probably the key to it all.
Yeah.
And if we can keep him fit, whether that's coming off the bench or playing games, but if we can get 30, 35 games out of him, then
Yeah.
providing everything else goes well, you can find yourself up there.
Yeah, I think as well, I know we've sort of said defence looks like it can ship goals, and obviously there's mistakes in there. And it sounds really like a big contradiction, but I also feel that the defence has shown that it can be really solid.
Yeah, I was about to say it's a bit of a weird one because although they look like they've got errors in them, they actually look quite solid as well, which is a bit of a weird thing to say.
Yeah.
But I think as a unit, the best way I could probably sum it up is as a unit, they look quite solid together, but give them the ball at their feet, especially the centre backs individually.
There is,
Then you kind of worry a little bit. But as a unit, playing football, defending is fine. But when you give them the ball to play football, that's when I kind of start biting my nails a little bit more and thinking, get rid of it.
Yeah. I mean, someone that I think, again, a lot of fans probably wouldn't have expected to have had such a good start to the season is Cam Norman.
Yeah, he's been quite good. I've been quite impressed. I think maybe he got a little bit too comfortable last season. And whether Clark had some, I don't know whether it's a thing, but whether Clark had something against him being a Keats signing, to be honest. But he's done quite well, and I think because Hayden White's come in and plays in that position, it's maybe give him a kick up the backside, and he's started to think, actually, you know what, I'm not guaranteed to play, and I need to do something now to stay in.
Looking over the summer at some stats, Norman didn't play a lot last season.
Yeah,
he didn't play as much as I thought he had played. Obviously, we know that Facey was in and out of the team because of fitness, like, and injuries and that. But there were a lot of games where Clark played at right back.
Yeah.
And as well, for a couple of matches, Kinsella played right wing back. And I think this season it will be Norman and White that play, barring any sort of injuries to the two of them.
Yeah.
But it will be the two of them that will hold that will be that sort of right back role. But I think he's been given a bit of a run. There were matches last season that I thought he looked really good. I remember him playing at left back against Salford, and I thought he looked very good at left back. And it was frustrating because he had those matches where you go, he is a really good player. It's just there was no consistency. But he seems to have found that consistency, which, again, if you get sort of 30 games where you look and you go, our right back is really solid today, your whole defence suddenly looks a lot better.
I think in terms of Cameron Norman, I like him. I think he's a good player, but I think the big thing with him is there's no middle ground. So he either has a really good game or he has a really bad one. But the thing is, when he has a bad one, it's noticeably bad compared to, like, if 4 or 5 of the team are having a bad game, for some reason he seems to stand out above those other 3 or 4.
Yeah.
But as a footballer and as a right back, he's all right. He's not too bad. Like, he likes to get up and down. He can cross a good ball in, and like I say, like you said as well, it's just the consistency, and that's obviously why he's in League Two. But he's, like I say, when he has a bad game, he's noticeable above everything else. I don't know whether that's just because maybe I focus on that a bit too much, but you seem to see it from the fans on social media and stuff. He kind of gets singled out a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But he's either kind of 7+ out of 10, or he's kind of like 1 or 2 out of 10. There's no 4 or 5.
Yeah.
He's impressed.
I think along that, it's odd that sort of 3 players that we've singled out, or 4 players that we've singled out, if you go back to October last year, were probably 4 that you'd be like, we don't want them at the club anymore. I think Norman, people would have been, if he'd have been released at the end of the season,
Yeah.
no one would have complained. Adebayo, early in the season, last season, you'd have gone, why have we got this person?
Yeah.
Guthrie hadn't really shown his full kind of potential or his full kind of talent.
Yeah.
And Holden looked like he'd never really played professional football.
I was thinking about this the other night, and like in the past, obviously there's been boo boys and stuff, and in the past where we've had players, whether they're on loan or permanent, that haven't quite done it for a couple of months, and people are on the back. They've kind of down tools and wanted to leave, so I'm actually quite impressed. You've got Adebayo and Holden, especially.
Yeah.
I mean, like you say, kind of October, November, December time, you'd have been quite happy to just ship them out and drive them to anywhere they wanted to go. And Holden, especially, I guess, because he was on loan, he didn't have to care.
He
really, he could have just gone back to Bristol City and thought, oh, well, I don't need anything. I don't need Walsall. Like I'm at championship level. But to be fair to them, Holden and Adebayo, Guthrie to an extent, they've kind of dealt with it and come out the other side of it and knuckled down and thought, you know what, I'm going to show these fans like I am actually a good player on that. So,
well, are we going to call it mental strength?
No, I'm not quite that far into it, but it's just nice to see that there's players that care. Whereas in the past, there have been players, especially loan players, that have just thought, you know what, I'm not bothered with this. Like, I'm getting paid. It doesn't matter what I do. I don't really care about Walsall and just move on. But it's nice to see that the players, whether they are here or not, do want to improve, and whether that's because of Darryl Clark and how he works with them, or whether that's just their mental strength, I guess.
Yeah.
But they didn't kind of shirk away. They kind of got back into it and kept playing. I mean, compared to Rory Gaffney, he was on loan. I don't know where he's disappeared to as well. I don't see him popping up on the team sheets anymore. But
I don't remember where he went, but I think
he's gone to Shamrock, isn't he? So they played AC Milan.
Yeah.
The Champions League qualifiers, whatever it was. But I don't know where he is because I haven't seen any of in the team sheets. I haven't seen him on there. But when you're comparing players, like last season, Rory Gaffney got a lot of stick, rightly, in my opinion, for a lot of the stuff. But he didn't really care. He couldn't be bothered, like you could tell. Whereas Holden got a lot of stick because he wasn't cutting it and he looked out of place. But he got his head down and now he's reaping the rewards.
Last season, he, like, however much Holden was, like, off form and not really looking like he was up to standard, I still felt he was trying and that he was putting the effort in, and that I found it really difficult at times because you'd watch him and he'd lose the ball and he'd track back and he kind of always he just wasn't up to speed.
Yeah,
you could see that the effort was there. Where, like you said, there's been loans in the past that it's like, oh well, I'm going back to my parent club soon. Whereas I liked the fact that he was like 19 and sort of had that drive to be like, I'm gonna play this pass because I can do it. And I mean, he's shown that he can. And actually, I think this season he's played at right mid twice, and I think he's looked so much better out there than any of last season. I think the confidence that he's got from being on the ball in the middle and the way that he's been playing in the middle. I mean, the goal that was scored against Orient, he started on the right wing, played some nice stuff with Lavery and was in the box. I think his whole game, if he's starting at right wing now, I'm kind of going, great, he can play there.
I think he's obviously done a lot over the summer in terms of strength and conditioning and stuff as well. He looks a lot more physical, whereas before, when he'd improved, like he was good on the ball, but you knew as soon as the tackle come in, he was more often than not about to lose it. But like you say, when he's on the right now, it's not his most effective position, but he still has an effect on the game, like you say, with the goal against Orient. Whereas last season, you put him out on the right and his confidence would be shot to pieces immediately, and some of the stuff he's doing now, he wouldn't have even entertained back then. And
because when Gordon went off and everyone saw Holden go to the right wing, it was like, here we go. But he did well. He's done well wherever he's needed to play.
I'd say he's been a consistent. Like, he hasn't been below a 7. I wouldn't say out of 10 in any game. He's been quite consistent, and again, I think that's key for this season. If the majority of the players have a consistent 7 out of 10 most weeks, then there's no reason why we shouldn't be up there, really.
Yeah. Right. So I think we've kind of covered it, but I was going to look at sort of the low lights of the season so far. And I think for me, it's been the defensive errors, because like against Exeter, and to be fair, I think in a lot of matches, if you take the mistake that's led to the goal out, we've looked really good defensively, but it is those errors. But I mean, obviously we could talk coronavirus, fans not coming in, all of that, but we want to be finished by tomorrow night's match. But has there been anything else sort of more maybe on or off the field that's a little bit different that you've kind of looked at and gone, we could improve there?
Yeah.
Putting you on the spot, I know, but
I'm just trying to think of everything that's going on. I mean, in terms of on the field, like you say, it's the defensive errors, but on the other hand, we actually do look quite solid. I think if we can cut out the individual errors, because that's all it is. It's not that the team are playing poorly or don't know what they're doing. The team are well drilled. It's just that rush to their head, whether it's at the start of a game or there's a period where we just seem to have a complete mind block and not know what's going on. I think if we get rid of them, we're fine. I think if we can turn some more of the draws into wins over the course of the season, that'll be decent. I mean, I've seen it in the past where you could draw a lot of games, but I mean, take the next 2 games coming up, for example. If we draw one and win, we draw and win 4 points, you'd consider that to be a strong start to the season. I think anything less than that, and then doubts start to creep in.
Yeah. If we draw one and win one, we'll be on 8 games and 14 points.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a very good start to the season, in my opinion. I think obviously 2 wins means you're on 2 points per game, but that's dreamland. But I think there's definitely, we'll start looking towards the next 2. I think Bradford's going to be difficult because Bradford's always a difficult place to go.
Yeah.
I think Barrow are there to be got at.
Mm-hmm. I mean, just going back on the question about what's going well and what's not. I mean, off the field, as far as I can see and as far as everyone else can see, I think if you compare it to, say, 2 years ago now, when we had the old chairman, everything's completely different. I think we've been communicating. I mean, with coronavirus, obviously everything's up in the air, but in terms of everything off the field that we know about and that we see, it's a million times better. We know what's going on. The chairman talks to us. The manager talks to us a bit more. Everything seems to be a bit more open. The team seems to be more of a team, if that makes sense, whether that's on the pitch or behind the scenes. Everything just seems to be more of a club now, if you like, rather than just a bunch of people that turn up on a Saturday to play a game of football. And then kind of looking ahead to the next 2 games, I think if we can get 4 points, good. I mean, four points is a minimum I would probably be expecting if I was managing that team. I'd be looking at 4 points minimum, and I'd probably say Bradford, difficult place to go to at the best of times. Draw minimum. If we get a draw, I'll be happy. If we can nick 3 points, then great. And then, like you say, with Barrow, if you look at their start,
I should have paused it.
Go on.
1 second. Right, apologies about that. Phone call's done. So we're going to carry on talking about Bradford and Barrow. So, Rob, you were saying about sort of a point minimum from Bradford, maybe even nicking a win.
Yeah, I think next 2 games, if we can get 4 points out of the 6, that would be, and add that to the start we've had, that would be considered a very good start. I think Bradford is a very difficult place to go at the best of times. To be honest, I've not really looked at what other teams are doing too much, so I don't know. I think Bradford may be just behind us, but
Yeah, I'll get the league up now, actually, while we're talking about it.
I think if I've read, from what I can remember, they're 9th or 10th or something like that, or a couple of points behind or whatever. But I think if we can get a draw there, we should be beating Barrow, and that's no disrespect to them. But if you look at the start they've had since they've come back into the league, I think they've drew 3 and lost 3, and they don't appear to be pulling up any trees.
Yeah, Bradford are 13th.
Okay.
They've played a game less. They've won 2, drawn 2, lost 1. They beat Mansfield on Saturday, but then again, everyone's beaten Mansfield.
I was going to say.
Lost to Harrogate 1-0. Drawn 2-2 to Forest Green, beaten Stevenage, and drawn to Colchester. So
similar to us, really.
Yeah, I think it will be quite a tight game.
I think there'll only be a goal in it, but I don't know. I mean, they have quite a big crowd, really, for League Two, don't they, usually? So I don't know whether the lack of crowd for them is maybe a leveler, if you like, for us, and gives us a little bit more confidence to go and attack a little bit more than probably what we would have done.
And it's early in the season, so the pitch won't have been destroyed as much, which I think will help us, because we are trying to play it on the ground more and not hoof it forward, which I know it's a joke that everyone kind of says about Bradford's pitch, but their pitch makes it difficult to get the sort of passing moves that we've been trying to do, at least, going.
Talking to Bradford's made me feel cold. The twice I've been there, I think I went when we stayed up in the April. That wasn't too bad, but I think it was raining. But the time before that possibly was horrendous. It was about -7. The wind was whipping. I might just open the windows tomorrow night and have the front door open and watch the game. And I've been there.
Yeah.
But now I think I'm confident we'll get a point there. And then Barrow, if there's a game we're going to go and attack at, then I think that would be the one you need to set up for to go and score 2 or 3 goals.
I think Barrow is the sort of game that last season before, for years, to my memory, they're the sorts of games that we look at and go, if we want to get promoted, we need to win that, and then we don't.
Yeah.
It's one of those games that I think when I look at the teams that we've played this season, the ones that we've drawn to, I feel that at least they are going to be top half.
Yeah.
I think the ones that we've won are teams that are going to be bottom half.
And
I think
that's been our problem, I think. I think that's been a big problem for us. The teams normally that are in the top half will do well against and seem to raise our game, so we'll win or grab a draw. But then the teams that are always around the bottom 6, 7, or 8, we tend to lose to, or it's just a damn squib. I mean, there's been a few games last season that were mind-numbing.
Against Morecambe. That was a disgusting game of football.
It's up there as one of the worst I've ever seen.
And it was only 2-0 as well. And that, like, I don't say only 2-0, but as soon as that penalty, as soon as Wes missed the penalty, I was like, we're not scoring tonight.
Yeah, it don't help with the weather and stuff, but it's stuff like that makes me question why we even watch Walsall sometimes. But it's it's one of them. But no, I think this season's different. Last season's last season. This season we look a different outfit and we look fitter. We look better drilled. Everyone, like you said earlier on, seems to know what their job is this season. Whereas I think last season, with the chopping and changing of formation, especially, it was a little bit up in the air. So next 2 games,
I would expect to. Bradford, I don't know a lot about them this season. They're a team that I've not really looked at. But with Barrow, I would be wanting us to be 4-2-3-1, to have that sort of. And I also think that I would probably rest Guthrie on Tuesday to play him Saturday. I know that it didn't give much creativity, but I think against Bradford, having the likes of Sinclair and Kinsella in the middle together
Yeah.
would stop them or stop their attacking players sort of get going.
Yeah, I'd be tempted to do the same, but maybe bring Alfie Bates in. So maybe have Bates and Kinsella.
Yeah.
Or you could have Bates and Sinclair, I guess, and not rest, but give Kinsella a little bit of a break, and then Guthrie
Yeah, he
Kinsella on,
he's played a lot in midfield.
Guthrie Kinsella on Saturday if you want to be more attacking. But either way, I'm pretty sure we should be getting 4 points minimum.
Cool.
So,
Well, at the end of the week, if we haven't hit 4 points, I'm holding you responsible for.
That's fine by me. I've been held responsible for far worse.
Right. So before we wrap up, want to talk your fundraiser.
Yeah.
Sort of what kind of, how did it start? How did it come about? And how's it been going? Sort of for people who maybe have seen it on Twitter and on social media that maybe don't know a lot about it. What
Yeah.
can you tell us?
Well, it's a crowdfunding page, if you like, that's been set up. Obviously, when it was confirmed that we weren't going back into the stadium, everything was set up for us to go back in from October the 1st. I think Dan Mole, Steph, and Lee had come out before and said that everything that they'd worked out from when it was kind of postponed in March was worked out until maybe October, December time. So everything just got a little bit sticky, I guess. We've got no money coming in. Obviously, games at home. There's no merchandise, no food, no drinks, no tickets to an extent. I know that a lot of people have left the season ticket money in, which is obviously commendable and helps out a lot. But it's essentially there just to help out a little bit. So I mean, what I've been saying to people is, whenever, especially when we're at home, any money you might have spent on doesn't have to be all of these, but tickets, pies, beer, drinks, programs, whatever it might have been, you can just donate it into the pot, and all the money will go to Walsall. We put the target of £5,000 initially. That was just a figure that, to be honest, I randomly plucked that out of the air, just put £5,000 down and see where it go. I mean, when I've spoken to people about it, £5,000 in the grand scheme of things for a football club isn't a lot of money, but the way I look at it is it's £5,000 that they're not getting at the minute, and it's something. So it's going to help out in whatever way it helps out. It will help out because it's money that they weren't planning on having, and if we can do our bit, then good for the club. I mean, it was set up. It was quite a quick thing. I mean, we were discussing in the group because it's been run through Walsall Supporters For Change, which obviously I head up. But we had a chat about what we could do, and that was probably the most logical way of doing something for the club. And it means they haven't really got to manage it. I can kind of manage it, and
they just sort of get effectively the benefits of you setting it up.
Yeah, so they get the benefit of it. They don't have to deal with if anything goes wrong, or they haven't really got to deal with the money side of things. So I'll deal with that. So when it'll be withdrawn and sent on to the club, and obviously we'll provide proof that it's gone to the club for everybody that's donated. But yeah, essentially it was just a quick and easy way. It allows everybody to access it. The vast majority of people, I would suggest, have got access to the internet in one form or another, whether that's through obviously their own gear or whether that's through friends, family, whatever it might be. We can take offline donations of cash, so as long as people get in touch and let us know that that's what they want to do, we can arrange for that to happen as well and put their name down as being the person that donated. And yeah, it's going well, to be honest. I mean, I don't know how long it's been set up for now. It hasn't been a month yet, but I mean, I'm just having a look now to see where we're at. We're on £3,849, which quite a lot. It's been going 2 weeks, just over 2 weeks, 2.5 maybe. So it's not a bad effort at all. And there's been obviously a lot of Walsall fans that have donated, and we've had a couple of Wolves fans, West Brom fans. There's been a West Brom fan that sent £100 in. And yeah, it's just one of them. So I'm trying to keep it at the forefront of people's minds by retweeting it off my own personal account and off the Walsall Supporters For Change account. And it's just one of them. Like, if anybody can spare anything, it doesn't matter whether it could be 50p, it could be £1, it could be £5, it could be £100, it could be whatever amount you can spare. It doesn't have to be on a match day; it can be at any point. But at the end of the day, it will all go to the club, and it's all for the club's benefit, really, and it's all appreciated.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you've got such a good figure already. I mean, 3,800. It's like you said, if you could hit 5,000 in a month and do that sort of month or every couple of months, that'd be amazing. So is the plan that this will just be ongoing really until fans are back in, or is it as soon as that 5,000's hit, that'll be it, done and dusted? So what's the plan going into what hopefully in the next couple of weeks, where there's a lot of games, we'll hopefully be hitting that 5,000 target?
Yeah, no, the 5,000's initial target. I'll possibly leave it at 5,000. So if we go past it, we can see how much we actually go past it and kind of exceed expectations, if you like. But no, the page is set up to run initially for 120 days, which should take us to somewhere around February. I can extend it for up to 12 months. So in theory, it can run till next October. But I think it's a difficult one to answer in terms of when it will end. I mean, if we're allowed fans back in to a decent level, then it would probably make sense to kind of cut it there and donate everything from that point. If we're only allowed, say, 25, 30, 40-ish%, then it might be worth keeping it open, because the thing for me is, I think, for me personally, given the job that I do, if somebody offered me the chance to go and sit in a football ground, it's probably safer for me to go to the football. So I've got no problem going there to watch a game of football. But there's going to be people that maybe aren't as confident, or don't want to take the risk, or whatever way you look at it, don't want to be at a football game yet. So potentially we can keep it open, and people that still aren't going but would like to contribute their usual kind of match day spend, if you like, can still do so. So bit of play it by ear, but it is open until February at the earliest. I mean, I can close it as and when, but February's the end date, if you like, so far. Could be October, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think I admire the work that you've done, and how quickly you managed to get it together. I mean, I know when you initially kind of set it up, there was a couple of snagging issues with it, but you've got it up and running very quickly, and to really be well on your way to a 5,000 target after a couple of weeks is really well done. And like you said, in the grand old scheme of things, when you're looking at how much players are on and things like that, 5,000 isn't going to completely revolutionise the club, but it's 5,000 that they didn't have before, that they have got, and that they will use. And yeah, I think it's fantastic what you've done. For those who maybe don't know about Walsall Supporters for Change, just a quick kind of what the work that you do, and kind of a bit about that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so we're a supporters group. We were set up essentially when Jeff Bonsall was still in charge, with one of our aims being to work on potentially sourcing a way out, if you like, to get a new chairman. But obviously that happened very, very quickly after we'd set up. So whilst it was good, it was also bad, in the sense that we had to kind of rethink about what we were doing. But essentially we're a group of people. There's myself and 5 or 6 others that are kind of the core group. But we're there basically for fans to come to us and ask us any questions that they want asking of the club, if that makes sense. So we attend the monthly working party meetings with the club, which are over Zoom at the minute. And yeah, any questions that the fans have got, whatever it's about, we can put forward to the club on their behalf. It could be something that you might deem quite trivial but want an answer to, we can ask, or it could be something that's a bit deeper and a bit requires a bit more information and a bit more digging and maybe a bit more pressure on the club. But whatever it is, we'll ask the question, and we try and work with the club to provide positivity really, and get answers for the fans and improve the football club and how the football club is seen by the fans, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, massively. And I think it's a good time to have that, and to kind of, for fans to feel that there's the place that you can, because it's the most open the club have been with fans for, well, since I've been supporting the club.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if there are things, then Rob and Walsall Supporters for Change are the people to go to that will push to get the answer. And like you said, there's loads of little things that you'd kind of maybe want to ask, and there's things that may be more important, or that you feel are bigger topics. But it's good that, especially, I mean, the way you've just spoken about it, that you feel as well that you can ask those questions and will get those answers where achievable.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting. I mean, with my job, it's difficult for me to attend. So Chris, the vice chairman, he attends a lot of them, but we all speak, we all collate the questions from different kind of people, different avenues that we're getting them from the supporters. And the one that I actually did attend at the club before all this coronavirus came along, Lee Pomlett was there, and it was a little was there, because obviously back in the day you wouldn't even have had an answer. But I mean, even when he can, he turns up and he'll be as honest and open as he can be. He'll have a chat with you, and it's you can ask him the questions as well. I mean, if a fan comes to us and wants us to ask the chairman rather, a direct question, if he's there, we'll ask him to his face. And from our point of view, whether the answer's positive, negative, or a little bit somewhere in the middle, we'll ask it, and we're not afraid, because we know that we're representing that fan or that group of people, and the answer that we're going to get is going to be as honest as it can be. So
Yeah, good. I think as well, what's nice is that if he's not at these working party meetings, it's not because he's avoiding it, it's not because he's hiding away, it's because he's a busy person. And you know that when the apologies are read out at the start, it's not just a name on a list, it's he's actually sorry that he can't make it.
Yeah, no, when he is there, he's involved. He likes to say his bit and get involved, and for the most part, not take over, but he likes to be there. He likes to be involved in what's going on. Like, he doesn't leave it to Dan and Steph to answer all the questions. If he feels he's got something to say, or he can answer a question, he'll kind of chip in and take over from that sense. But no, it's like I say, Walsall Supporters For Change, we're there for all the fans. You don't have to really be a member. You can be a member. We've got a website which you can find through our Twitter page. But yeah, any fans or got any questions, any suggestions, put them to us. I mean, it's interesting for me and for the Walsall Supporters For Change group that we've linked up with the Terrace recently, with all the
great. I mean, some of those
stuff.
Some of those
I mean,
they look amazing.
I can't say for sure that it was us that kind of made it click, but we had conversations with one of the co-owners of the Terrace last year. We got his contact details and passed that on to the club. So whether that is a direct result of us passing on his personal details to get in touch, who knows? But it's a connection that we kind of passed on. So I was quite happy to see that come over the line, because it's long overdue, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, it's the sort of stuff that, if you're looking to buy a gift like Christmas rapidly approaching, there's a lot of these things that you can get from like anywhere, but to go through the official partner with the club is going to support the club in a way, some way.
Yeah,
so
definitely, and I think the thing with the Terrace link up is, I think they've already tweeted it, but everything that's bought from their site does benefit the club as well. So it's a win-win really, because the stuff, I mean, I've had some stuff off there for other things, but the stuff that they do is very good in quality. So
yeah, Rob,
So, yeah.
thank you very much for coming on.
That's all right, thank you.
No doubt we'll get you on at some point again in the future. Keep tweeting and doing the work that you've been doing, especially with the fundraiser and with Walsall Supporters For Change. And for anyone watching this, give them a follow. Anything that you need to ask, you've seen how open Rob is, so just go ahead and sort of get in touch.
Yeah, well, thank you very much.
That's all right.
Good to catch up.
Yeah, it's been, I think the last time was it January at the
working party meeting?
No, it was
working party meeting.
Forum.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Fans forum, that was it. Yeah. Even I mean, talking about
the fans forum where there wasn't the question about chips in the lower.
Yeah, it's only because he wasn't there.
Yeah.
But now, it's been good to catch up, and hopefully we'll have a good season. And yeah, I think I'll probably be back on at some point talking. So yeah, I mean, one final thing from me is if everybody that, whether you've already donated or are going to donate to this fundraiser, if you can spread the awareness of the page across all of your social media, then that would be very, very appreciated by me and the rest of the group. So yeah,
indeed. Right, Rob, thank you very much, and we'll chat soon.
Yeah, no worries. See you later.